On August 16, 1777, the Battle of Bennington is fought on the New York-Vermont border during the American Revolution. But of which larger campaign was the Battle of Bennington a part? And which side won this important but lesser-known battle? Also, what is Mr. Lewis's personal connection to Bennington? In the summer of 1777, British General John Burgoyne moved south from Loyalist Canada in what becomes known as the Saratoga Campaign. The goal was to seize control of the Hudson River. With Britain's naval blockade already restricting movement by sea, the British hoped this overland move would isolate New England from the rest of the colonies. But Burgoyne's army of about 8,000 was slowed by poor roads, difficult terrain, and obstacles strewn along the route by colonials. With his supply line stretched thin, he had to get creative to replenish his forces. Burgoyne decided to divide his troops and send Lieutenant Colonel Friedrich Baum with a contingent of about 1,000 German, British, and Loyalist forces to collect horses and supplies in Bennington, Vermont. On August 16th, after a day of non-stop rain, more than 2,000 American militiamen and Continental Army regulars, led by General John Stark and Colonel Seth Warner, attacked Baum about 10 miles from Bennington. Within a short period, the Patriots surrounded Baum's forces. Baum was himself mortally wounded in the fighting, which continued until nightfall. The British suffered 200 dead and seriously wounded, and another 700 taken prisoner or missing. American casualties totaled only about 70. The engagement contributed to Burgoyne's eventual defeat at Saratoga, which is one of the most significant turning points in the war. In Paris, Patriot diplomat Benjamin Franklin was able to use the colonial victory at Saratoga to convince France to formally recognize the United States of America and enter the war against Britain. A 306-foot stone obelisk was dedicated as a monument to the Battle of Bennington in 1891. Of particular interest to me personally is that the Battle of Bennington was fought in part on property owned by my great-great-great-great-grandfather, Hazard Wilcox Sr., a Loyalist who would be killed 3 years later in the Battle of Young's House near White Plains, New York. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1812, during the War of 1812, the U.S. surrenders Fort Detroit to British and Shawnee forces. In 1896, gold is discovered in Canada's Yukon Territory, triggering North America's last great gold rush. In 1948, baseball's then home run king Babe Ruth dies of cancer in New York City at the age of 53. In 1954, the first issue of Sports Illustrated is published, featuring a cover story on Eddie Matthews. In 1962, the Beatles fire their original drummer, Pete Best, and officially replace him with Ringo Starr. In 1977, King of Rock and Roll Elvis Presley dies at age 42 of a heart attack at his Graceland estate. In 2018, Queen of Soul Aretha Franklin dies at the age of 76 of pancreatic cancer in Detroit. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. Which conflict between Native Americans and the U.S. government occurred during the American Civil War? The Black Hawk War, the Dakota Uprising, Tecumseh's War, or the Winnebago Uprising? Liked learning about the Battle of Bennington? Then you'll love this one about the weather event that saved George Washington's army and likely the American Revolution. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.